Japanese games can often feel a bit weird, but at the same time they can also be beautiful, thoughtful creations dripping with style. Deception for the Nightmare Princess is just weird. It's a bit weird.
じゃあ行こうか、姫様。宴はここからだ。
Deception 4 The Nightmare Princess is a trap-based strategy game. As servant of the devil, your role is to punish, humiliate, and elaborately kill those who wander into your domain. Except you never actually directly hurt them. Your objective is to set up traps and activate them to kill humans as fast as possible for points. They also do it with virtually nothing on.
ひっそり背後からってのもつまらないでしょ。
It's pretty awful. The outfit you start with is basically underpants. And heck, there's a lot of things I like doing in my underpants, but brutally murdering soldiers and townsfolk in a castle isn't one of them.
It's just not practical. You'd want at least a raincoat. The story is told through simple cutscenes, and I actually like that there's only the original Japanese dialogue.
Yeah, me too.
The basic plot is you play the devil's daughter, and she's trying to free her father. Also, each character that you come up against has their own little story, which often makes you feel kind of bad for what you're about to do to them. It's a pretty simple plot that probably won't hold your attention for long.
Yes, this is all about the trapping. In any given round, you place a series of traps and then lure enemies onto them. Then you try to chain together a sequence of torture for points.
Mostly you'll just default to trying to take out enemies as quickly as possible. And that, I think, is the core problem with this game. You go for the quick solutions. You're never incentivized enough to be creative.
Yeah, it's kind of like the developers expect us to enjoy the brutality of these death mechanics enough for us to want to experiment. But Hex, I just ended up playing this entire game with a look on my face of both confusion and surprise.
Yeah, that was my face too, I think. You do get to unlock new traps and abilities as you move through the rounds, but Bajo, once I found a sequence that worked, I just reused it over and over. It's the path of least resistance.
Yeah, same here. I found anything that actually locks an enemy in place or isolates them in some way worked best. And then just endless boulders and flip ramps.
Dropping boulders is actually the best though.
Yeah, I never tired of that. Although there are times where you can't really work out if an enemy is on your square or not, so you kind of miss and you don't really feel like it's your fault.
Rooms also have their own unique contraptions. These can be activated with your own traps, or just by walking into the gem that sets them off. It's not very clear how they all work though, and chaining them with your own traps just often isn't worth the bother.
There is a big ethical elephant in the room with this game, and that is that you are obviously the bad guy, and what you're doing is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, this is a pretty awful concept for a game. The wacky style lessens that somewhat, I guess, but it's still not something brimming with moral fibre or justification for your actions.
This is also the fourth game in the series. And Deception 4 actually came out last year on other platforms, but the PS4 version also includes a quest mode. In this, you play as Valkyrie, moving through a tree of battles and unlocking items for the game's director studio, which lets you create your own missions.
I can't figure out who the audience is meant to be for this game, Bajo.
Yeah, me either. I do have a friend who admitted to me that he's enjoying it on the Vita. He's playing that version just for the stupidity and the puzzles alone, but yeah, I don't think this is for me.
Hey, maybe we're just missing the appeal. Honestly though, I just don't think it's deep enough, and the art style's pretty ugly. It looks very much like a last-gen game.
Yeah, and the idea of trapping enemies and using traps to take them out has been done better as well. I think if you were to play something like Orcs Must Die 2, for example, it's more rewarding, especially because you're taking a more active role and attacking the enemies, and setting up the traps is just more interesting and more worth your time and ultimately more satisfying.
He does have a point.
Yeah, and you get to wear clothes in that game as well.
True. Are you giving this any stars, Hex?
I am going to give this 1 star.
I'm giving it 1 star as well.